apologies, I've hit the mute button. I'm not sure how long that was. Apologies for the mute part of the audio, but yeah. Anyway, Malekith, Scheme 2, Attack 2, Health 5, Retaliate 1. After Malekith attacks, you discard top card in the encounter deck. If that card is a treachery, deal it to yourself as a face-down counter card. When defeated, place 2 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain. Minotaur, Schema 2, Attack 2, Health 4, Brute, Creature, Toughness. If there are 5 or more treacheries in the encounter discard pile, Minotaur activates against you. Place 2 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain. The Mangog, Scheme 3, Attack 4, 10 per pod, I think that symbol is, not per player. It's got the 3 things. Victory 1, Brute, Creature, Elite. Any player in your pod can attack the Mangog as if it was in their game area. When defeated, each group in your pod places 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain and 1 synergy counter on one of the synergy environments. Fenris Wolf, Scheme 1, Attack 2, Health 7, Creature Elite, Guard Patrol. Place 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain, choose a group in your pod, then place one synergy counter on their mounting resistance environment. I can't pronounce that one. Scheme 2, Attack 2, Health 7, Creature Elite. When revealed, discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. If a treachery was discarded this way, take 2 indirect damage. When defeated, place 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain, choose a group in your pod, then place 1 synergy counter on their domineering force environment. Laufey, Schema 2, Attack 3, Health 7, Elite Giant. After a character attacks Laufey, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that card is a treachery, stun the attacker. When defeated, place 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain, choose a group in your pod, then place 1 synergy counter on their unified front environment. Then we have Aura of Stasis, side scheme. When revealed, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck, the top 3 cards instead in expert mode. If a treachery was discarded this way, exhaust your identity as 4th threat and crisis icon. Door Between Worlds, side scheme. Victory 1, any player in your pod can thwart Door Between Worlds as if it were in their game area. When defeated, each group in your pod places 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain and 1 synergy counter on their synergy environments. 7 per pod threats, a whole bunch of horrible icons. Lofty Goals, side scheme. Place 2 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain. Boost effect, take 1 indirect damage to each character control. 5 threat because of acceleration. 2 of those. New Jotunheim. When defeated, place 3 shadow counters on the avatar of Loki villain. Choose a group in your pod, then place 1 synergy counter on their feigned retreat environment. It's got acceleration 6 threat. Dark Arts Treachery. In expert mode, this card gains Insight 1. When revealed, search the encounter discard pile for a minion and reveal it. Otherwise, place 3 threat on the main scheme. Place 1 threat. The boost effect is place 1 threat on the main scheme for each character you control. There's 2 of those. Dirty Trick. When revealed, remove 1 shadow counter from the avatar of Loki villain. Take 2 damage, 3 damage instead in expert mode. Boost effect is take 1 indirect damage for each character you control. Stories and Lies. Another treachery. When revealed, swap avatar of Loki villain in play with a random set-aside avatar of Loki villain. Then, if Loki the Knave or Loki the Miscreant is in play, he schemes with +1 scheme in expert mode. If Loki the Rascal or Loki the Wretch is in play, he attacks you with +1 attack in expert mode. And there's another stories. We've got 3 Stories and Lies. We've got Domineering Force Environment. It's permanent. Max 1 per player synergy counters here. Interrupt. When a friendly character attacks, remove 1 synergy counter from here. That attack deals 4 additional damage. Feigned Retreat Environment. Permanent. Max 1 per player synergy counters here. When identity would take any amount of damage, remove 1 synergy counter from here. Prevent 4 of that damage. Mounting Resistance Environment. Permanent. Same thing against synergy counters. Interrupt. When a friendly character thwarts, remove 1 synergy counter from here. That thwart removes 4 additional threat. Unified Front. Same thing, except now this one's remove 1 synergy counter from here and generate 2 wild resources. Okay, now we have, looks like Trickster Magic modular. So we get Absorbing Man, Minion, 2 scheme, attacker 1, 7 health, Brute, Elite, Enthralled. Guard, Victory 1, while on his attack, while Absorbing Man is engaged with you, he gets plus X attack, where X is the printed cost of the highest cost card you control. And when defeated, the player who defeated this minion puts the set-aside Absorbing Man ally into play under their control. Yeah, okay, I vaguely remember seeing these. So then we have Titania, Minion, Schemer 1, Attacker 3, 8 health, Brutal, Elite, Enthralled, Steady, Victory 1. Titania's attacks gain overkill. When defeated, the player defeated the minion puts the set-aside Titania ally into play under their control. Whirlwind, 2, 1 attack, 2 scheme, 1 attack, 6 health, Enthralled, Elite, Quick Strike, Victory 1. After he attacks you, take 1 indirect damage for each side scheme in play. And when defeated, you get the ally. Zax, I don't know, Zax? Scheme 1, attack 2, 6 health, Elite, Enthralled, Retaliate 1, Victory 1. When revealed, discard the top 4 cards of your deck. For each printed energy resource, discard this way, take 1 indirect damage. When defeated, get the ally. The Trickster Tango. So, side scheme, the villain gains Stalwart. Comes with 2 accelerations. The boost effect is if this activation is an attack, it gains overkill. And we have 4 threat on that. Puppet Master side scheme. In expert mode, this gains Hinder 1 per player. Allies cannot thwart this scheme or defend against the villain's attacks. Comes with Hazard icon and 2 threat. Love Triangle attachment. Attached to an ally control, otherwise this card gains Surge. Attached ally cannot attack the villain or defend against the villain's attacks. Alter ego action, exhaust attached ally and spend a mental resource, discard this card. Here's the Absorbing Man ally. So these are what you get when you defeat their minion versions. 1 thwart, 2 consequential damage, 1 attack, 2 consequential damage, health 3, cost of 3. So he's linked obviously to the the minion. Interrupt when Absorbing Man attacks or thwarts, exhaust an upgrade or support your control. Absorbing Man gets plus X to that power for this use, where X is the card's printed cost to a maximum of 3. Titania, 2 thwart, 1 consequential, 3 attack with 2 consequential, 5 health. Titania's attacks gain overkill and piercing. Whirlwind, 4 cost, thwart 1, 0 attack, 3 health. Interrupt when Whirlwind attacks, remove 1 threat from each scheme in play. For each threat removed this way, Whirlwind gains +1 for that attack. Kind of cool. And good old Zags. Ally, 3 cost, 3 thwart, 2 consequential damage, 1 attack, 1 consequential damage. Defiant for after Zax enters play, search the top 5 cards of your deck for a card with a printed energy resource and add it to your hand. Yeah. He's a little disappointing. All right, now we'll open the next thing, I guess. Still confused about which way I'm going on this, but anyway. All right, we'll start with the Enchantress then. So, Enchantress, villain, scheme 2, attack 1. Force response after Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. I guess I should have opened this first because I'm guessing the first half of that was in this. All right, but anyway, moving on. Enchantress, stage 2, scheme 2, attack 2, Asgard Mystic, steady toughness, in stand mode, put the set aside Future of Despair into play, then place an additional 3 threat on it, 3 per player threat on it. Force response after Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Enchantress stage 3, 3 scheme, 2 attack, steady and toughness, put the set aside, when revealed, put the set aside Future of Despair into play, then place an additional 4 per player threat on it. Force response after Enchantress attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Prime Real Estate. So this is the Enchantress scheme stuff. So we've got our contents here. We set the Future of Despair side scheme aside. Attach a random hypnotic gaze to each identity. Players cannot look at the reverse sides. Set each remaining hypnotic gaze aside. And then on 1B, 6 threat per player. Force interrupt when a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area. If your identity has the enthralled trait, place 1 threat here instead. Comes with 1 threat per player, goes up 1 threat per player each villain phase. Sovereign Sorceress, 2A, main scheme. When revealed, if the Crown of Enchantress attachment is in play, stun each identity. Otherwise, search the encounter deck and discard pile 4 Crown of the Enchantress and reveal it. And 2B, 9 threat per player. Force interrupt when a charm counter would be placed on the enchantment card in your play area. If your identity has the enthralled trait, place 1 threat here instead. And lose the game if this completes. Start comes in with 2 threat per player and goes up 1 per player each round. Future of Despair. Enchantress gains Stalwart and cannot take damage. It's a side scheme. When revealed, place 1 charm counter on each enchantment card in play. It comes with 2 threat per player. Trance of Envy. So permanent, your identity gains the enthralled trait. When revealed, discard a card you control. Otherwise, discard the top 8 cards of your deck. Forced action, exhaust this card. Give Enchantress a face-down boost card. Ready your identity. Here's the Hypnotic Gaze on the other side. Your identity gains Defiant trait. If there are 5 more charm counters here, remove each charm counter and flip this card. Trance of Greed. You gain the enthralled trait. When revealed, you are confused. Otherwise, take 2 damage. Force action, exhaust this card, draw 1 card, then play that card, paying its cost if you cannot take 1 damage. That's the forced action there. And there's the Hypnotic Gaze on the other side. Trance of Pride. Your identity gains the enthralled trait. When revealed, exhaust your identity, otherwise discard 1 card at random from your hand. Forced action, exhaust this card, place 1 threat on the main scheme, remove 2 threat from a side scheme. And there's the Hypnotic Gaze on the other side again. Trance of Sloth. Your identity gains enthralled trait. When revealed, you are stunned, otherwise place 2 threat on the main scheme. Exhaust this card, heal 1 damage from Enchantress, draw 1 card, then discard this card. Trance of Wrath, gain enthralled. When revealed, search the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for a card and reveal it. Forced action, exhaust this card, take 1 indirect damage, deal 2 damage to a minion. Okay, Alluring Call, attached to your identity. Exhaust this card, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Play a card from your hand, reducing its resource cost by 1. Alter Ego action, exhaust this card and discard this. Exhaust this card, discard this card. And boost effect is reveal this card. Kiss of Temptation, attached to your identity. Exhaust this card, place 1 charm counter. These are forced actions. Place 1 charm counter on your enchantment card in your play area. Draw 1 card, then discard 1 card from your hand. Alter your action, exhaust this card, discard this card. And the boosters reveal again. Love Concoction, attached to your identity. Exhaust this card, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area, ready your identity, and then alter your action, exhaust this card, discard this card, and boosters reveal. Seduced, we've seen this, I think we've seen some of this to the Enchantress modular set that came in Mad Titan Shadow. Attach to your identity, you cannot make basic attacks or play attack events. Alter your action, spend an energy and mental resource, discard this card. Crown of the Enchantress, attached to Enchantress. Expert mode, Enchantress gains Stalwart. Force response, after Enchantress schemes against you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Your action, each player exhausts their identity, takes 1 damage, and discard this card. Enthralled Lackey, Schemer 2, attack of 1, health 3. Quick Strike, after this minion attacks you, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. Boost effect, choose to either place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area or confuse your identity. We've got 2 of those. Enthralled Brute, he's got a Schemer 1, attack of 2. Guard, 4 health, but he's got a little star icon. While this minion is gauged with a player whose identity has the enthralled trait, this minion gains +3 hit points. And the boost effect is choose to either place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area or exhaust your identity. We've got 2 brutes. Cinder. Cinder's attacks deal indirect damage. 1 scheme for attack, 6 health. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, Cinder activates against you. If your identity has the enthralled trait, give Cinder a tough status card. And Ulick. Scheme 0, attack 3, 5 health, brute troll. In expert mode, Ulick gains toughness. After a player deals any amount of damage to Enchantress, Ulick attacks that player. Enchantress attacks the player who defeated Ulick and gets +1 attack for that attack. Whereas when defeated effect. Law of Attraction, side scheme. When revealed, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until an enthralled minion is discarded. Reveal that minion. Comes with acceleration. Boost effect is place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. There's 2 Laws of Attraction. Spellbound. When defeated, each player whose identity has the Defiant trait places 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in their play area. Each player whose identity has the Enthralled trait discards a card they control. Comes with Crisis and 4 threat. It's 2 spellbounds. Do My Bidding Treachery. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, do both in any order. So search the encounter deck and discard pile for a minion and reveal it. Then shuffle, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a side scheme, reveal it, and shuffle. Just the one Do My Bidding, thank goodness. Magical Restraints. Treachery. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. If your identity has the Enthralled trait, do both in any order. You are stunned, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. You are confused, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. 2 Magical Restraints. Spell Blast. Treachery. When revealed, if your identity has the Defiant trait, choose one. Enthralled, do both in any order. Enchantress Schemes with +1 scheme in expert mode. Enchantress Attacks you with +1 attack in expert mode. 2 Spell Blasts. Spell Shards. Treachery. When revealed, take 3 indirect damage. If your identity took any amount of damage this way, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And boost this, place 1 charm counter on the enchantment card in your play area. And now here's Loki God of Lies, which I should have done the second pack after this one, because this is obviously the start. I got confused looking at the back here. I thought yeah, anyway. So villain, Loki has no dashes on his scheme and attack. Asgard Mystic, if Loki God of Lies has 10 per player or fewer remaining hit points, flip this card. Then on his other side, it's the same on his stats. And when revealed, each group in standard mode attaches their set-aside intense focus to the avatar of Loki villain in their game area. Each group in expert mode flips their intense focus attachment to its total focus side. If Loki God of Lies is defeated, all players in all groups win the game. And so the worlds collide. So because our setup thing, the contents, set up, create a separate game area for each player group. See page 9, the rules insert. So obviously that, like I said, that'll teach you how to do all the setup. Each group follows the instructions on Mischief and Mayhem. And then on Worlds Collide, we have 2 per pod. I believe the pod was the terminology for that symbol when I looked at the article back in the day. So each player icon on Loki, God of Lies, counts as the total number of players in all game areas. So each per player icon. Each pod icon on this scheme counts as the total number of groups in all pods. Cards cannot affect this scheme or Loki, God of Lies, unless they refer to those cards by title. And if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. Okay. Here's our Shatter the Illusion. When a Fading Figment is revealed, follow these steps to shatter Loki's illusion. Remove each shatter counter from Fading Figment, then deal damage to Loki, God of Lies, equal to the number of shatter counters removed this way. Swap the Fading Figment in play with a random set-aside villain, avatar of Loki side face up, then set the hit point dial of the avatar of Loki villain to its printed hit point value. Deal each player 1 face down encounter card. And there's Epic Multiplayer Reminder. Group pods. A pod is a collection of groups. It is recommended that each pod not exceed 12 to 16 players, or roughly 3 to 4 groups within the same pod. Per group icon. So that's what that is. That's the per group icon. Yep. All right. If on a card in a group's game area, the per group icon next to the value multiplies that value by the number of groups that began the scenario in that pod. Playing in separate game areas. So it's per group icon, not pod icon. Because pod is, I'm assuming, all the groups in that. Yeah, that's the pod. Playing in separate game areas. Each player group is in its own game area unless explicitly stated. Players, cards, and components in one game area cannot affect another game area. Cross-group communication. Cross-group communication is allowed and highly encouraged. So we have Loki the Rascal. Schema 1, Attack of 1, Avatar of Loki. After you resolve a boost card during Loki the Rascal's activation, if that card is a treachery, either deal it to yourself as a face-down counter card, or spend 1 resource of any type. Force or interrupt. When this villain would be defeated, place 5 per player shatter counters here, then flip this card instead. On the other side, we have the Fading Figment. So in revealed, Shatter the Illusion. So you see the Shatter Illusion card, which we looked at before. Choose a group in your pod, then place synergy counters on their unified front environment equal to the number of players in their group. Loki the Miscreant. 1 scheme, attack 2. Avatar of Loki. After resolve with treachery, place 1 threat on the main scheme and 1 threat on a side scheme. Force interrupt, when this villain would be defeated, place 5 per player shadow counters here and flip this card instead. And then we have Fading Figment again. This one is the same thing, except it's for the mounting resistance environment. Loki the Knave, scheme of 2, attack of 1. After resolve treachery, deal 1 damage to your identity and deal 1 damage to an ally you control. Force interrupt, when this villain would be defeated, place 5 per player shadow counters here and flip the card. Then that one does the shadow illusion for the domineering force environment. And lastly, our last card, Loki the Wretch, scheme of 1, attack of 1, force interrupt. When Loki the Wretch activates against you, discard the top card of the encounter deck. If a treachery was discarded this way, Loki the Wretch gets +1 scheme and +1 attack for this activation. And when he would be defeated, place 5 for player shadow counters here, flip this card, and flip this card instead. And then his Fading Figment, the Shadow of the Illusion goes to the Feigned Retreat environment. There we have it. That's the Loki Trickster Takeover scenario pack. Basically all the, Enchantress and Loki villains. Hopefully this Loki is a lot more fun than the Mad Titan Shadow. But hey, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to play the pods and the groups and stuff, because it just seems a lot of organizing, and I'm, don't know if an event in Australia would ever happen like that. But yeah, in any case, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.